Welcome everyone. Today we're diving into the digital yuan, China's central bank digital currency, an electronic version of the Chinese yuan, designed for both online and offline transactions.
Yep, sounds fascinating. So we're talking about a currency that's backed by sovereign credit and is legal tender, right?
Exactly. And it's issued by the People's Bank of China, or PBOC, to improve retail payment infrastructures and promote financial inclusion.
Got it. Right, and what really caught my attention is how the digital yuan is set up with a two-tier structure. Can you explain that a bit?
Sure. The first tier is the PBOC itself, and the second tier comprises major state-owned banks, plus online banks like WeBank and MY Bank. These institutions handle user onboarding and service provisioning, connecting consumers to digital yuan wallets.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And what's really interesting is that these wallets, known as Shuzi Qianbao, come in various types, from real name wallets, which require full KYC, to level 4 wallets that offer a bit more anonymity for small
Exactly. I see
value
how it's designed to
transactions.
balance privacy and regulatory oversight. Speaking of privacy, how does the digital yuan manage that compared to third-party payment apps like Alipay and WeChat Pay?
Great question. Unlike Alipay and WeChat Pay, which are essentially digital wallets tied to bank accounts, the digital yuan is issued directly by the central bank. So it works as digital fiat money and offers government-controlled but limited anonymity, controlled enough for tracking tax evasion and money laundering, but still letting users have controlled privacy.
Yep, that controlled anonymity is key. And it's designed so that only banks can convert digital yuan into bank deposits and vice versa, right?
Yes, exactly. The transaction environment itself is risk-free, with no interest and full backing from the PBOC, maintaining the money supply integrity.
That sounds robust.
Now, looking at its development timeline, it's like a fascinating journey, starting from research in 2014, with a dedicated team assembled in 2016 to create a prototype, then onto pilot programs in cities like Shenzhen, Chengdu, and even during Beijing's Winter Olympics in 2021.
Wow, the timeline really shows a progressive evolution. Yeah, and it seems the strategy was not just local, but also focused on international cooperation for cross-border payments. Isn't that right?
Absolutely. The idea, especially recently, has been to explore cross-border payment schemes that respect national sovereignty. This aligns with G20 initiatives and opens up a world of possibilities for digital currency integration globally.
It's like they are trying to bridge local efficiency with global reach.
Right, and let's dive a bit into the usage. In pilot cities, people can access digital yuan via bank apps or the dedicated eCNY app. They register with their phone numbers and names, and once set, they can top up their accounts through sub-wallets provided by banks.
Yeah, that user-friendly approach makes it accessible. And, if I recall, physical locations in cities like Beijing, Shenzhen, and Shanghai even offer direct access to digital yuan wallets, correct?
Exactly. It's a phased rollout strategy, starting with select regions, using both online and physical methods to gradually improve adoption.
But you mentioned earlier that despite a massive population, the adoption rate is still relatively low. What do you think is holding it back?
Well, there are several factors at play, one being a bit of public hesitancy due to concerns over data security and government surveillance, given China's strict internet regulations.
That's definitely a factor.
And then there's the issue of interoperability with the global payment systems. Even though it's designed to work seamlessly within China, integrating it internationally is a tall order, not to mention the geopolitical challenges.
Yeah, that international dimension adds a whole layer of complexity. I'm curious, though, how does the digital yuan compare in terms of transaction limits with other payment methods or even its own anonymous versus regular wallets?
Great point. Regular identity-verified wallets have a single payment limit of 50,000 yuan, a daily limit of 100,000 yuan, and a balance cap of 500,000 yuan. On the flip side, the anonymous wallets, typically level 4, are much lower, 2,000 yuan per transaction, 5,000 yuan daily, and a cap of 10,000 yuan.
Yep, that tiered approach really shows its design for both security and everyday usability.
And what's also intriguing is how digital yuan supports smart contract functionalities. For instance, the Meituan app integrated smart contracts back in January 2023. This opens up possibilities for more
Right.
automated financial
That integration
transactions.
is like the icing on the cake, pushing digital payments to evolve beyond just everyday transactions. Now, don't you think there's a bit of a tension between enhancing privacy and ensuring traceability? Some might say it's a bit of a contradiction.
True, there's a delicate balance there. The digital yuan is designed to provide controlled anonymity so that users enjoy some privacy, but still leave a trail for regulatory authorities when needed. This, uh, it's like having a transparent vault, if you will.
Interesting analogy.
Yeah, and this means that while users get risk-free, stable transactions, the government still retains enough oversight to prevent illicit activities without overstepping individual privacy rights.
I agree it's a careful balance, but do you think it might deter global users worried about surveillance?
That's a valid critique. Internationally, concerns about data security and privacy could be a barrier, particularly given the reputation of strict internet laws in China. This might slow down its adoption outside China.
Definitely a potential hurdle. And how do you see the role of commercial banks in this whole digital UN ecosystem?
They play a crucial role. Major banks like the Industrial and Commercial Bank of China and the Bank of China, among others, are integral to providing digital yuan wallets, handling customer service, and even ensuring privacy protections. They are the gateway between the central bank's system and the user.
Yeah, they're essentially the bridges between theory and real-world implementation.
Exactly. Also, an interesting detail is that while these Tier 2 institutions offer a range of services, they actually can't perform digital yuan exchanges themselves. They're more focused on onboarding and transaction facilitation.
It's very specialized. What about the infrastructure? I mean, integrating the digital yuan with platforms like Alipay or Jingdong. How does that work?
It's pretty straightforward. The digital yuan integrates with existing platforms for online payments, making it possible for users to use it for everything from retail to food delivery. This integration helps broaden its adoption, even though, as we mentioned, the rollout has been gradual.
Yeah, that hybrid approach of pure state currency mixed with digital marketplace integration is smart.
And let's not forget the global ambitions. The PBOC is actively engaging in international partnerships to create a framework in which the digital yuan could potentially be used for cross-border payments.
Right, but that's easier said than done given the geopolitical and regulatory challenges, isn't it?
Precisely. It's a visionary step, but comes with risks. Challenges like a lack of interoperability with existing international payment systems and the heat of geopolitical tensions.
I can see how that might be a deal breaker for some international users and governments. So basically, while domestically it promises efficiency and inclusion, its global future is still rather uncertain.
Correct, and this uncertainty extends to public adoption. Even within China, despite 1.4 billion people, the uptake has been relatively slow so far, maybe due to legacy habits with traditional payment apps and privacy concerns.
Old habits die hard indeed.
And you know, some argue that the digital yuan could fundamentally shift how financial systems operate, not just in China, but potentially globally, if it overcomes these hurdles.
Right, but isn't that a bit optimistic given the entrenched power of platforms like WeChat Pay and Alipay?
Sure, it might sound optimistic, but there's a reason why the digital yuan is being championed. Its design aims at balancing state control with user-friendly features. I mean, it's like a modern upgrade to how we think of money,
I see
albeit
your
with
point,
inherent
even if
challenges.
I'm a bit skeptical about rapid global transcendence. Before we wrap up, what do you think the next big milestone for the digital yuan will be?
I'd say a major milestone will be the deepening of international cooperation. More pilot programs involving cross-border transactions and enhanced interoperability with global financial systems. Plus, further integration into everyday payment systems outside of China could really test its durability.
Yeah, that international play could very well define the future of digital currencies.
Absolutely. And while the current system is robust domestically, addressing privacy, scalability, and international legal frameworks will be critical steps moving forward.
It's an exciting, if challenging, frontier. Thanks for this deep dive. It really sheds light on how the digital yuan is reshaping modern finance from the ground up.
Anytime, it's been a pleasure unpacking this with you. Keep an eye on the digital yuan. It just might set the pace for the future of global payments.
Yes, absolutely fascinating stuff indeed.